Hi Phil, how are you doing?
I'm not so bad, mate.
Okay, I'm alright, thank you, thanks for asking. So you've just shown us how to use Socrative, which is very interesting. Let's just ask a few questions if that's alright. So, can you tell me, what is Socrative?
Basically, it's a tool for us as teachers to help assess learning within our sessions. We all give information to students, we all expect them to retain it, but sometimes what falls below the radar is, have they actually learned anything from it? Have they remembered anything?
Yeah.
So it's a tool that can be used to see how much they have remembered, how much they've retained, and you can see very easily who's getting things right, who's getting things wrong, and who's retaining that information.
Excellent, thank you indeed. The main topic that we're talking about today is strategies to complete checks on learning for all learning during the session. How does Socrative achieve that? Those checks?
There's a couple of different ways you can use Socrative.
Yeah.
You can use it as a recap for previous sessions, so at the beginning of the session you can set a Socrative quiz to see how much they've remembered from the previous session and see whether there's anything that you need to recap on. So some of the group aren't getting it right, so you can then go over that subject again and reaffirm the information in their minds.
Sure, yeah.
You can use it as summative at the end of the session. So once you've got to the end of your topic for that session, you can then ask them questions about what you've done in that specific session. And you can use it ongoing as well throughout the session with multiple parts to it, allowing you to have just random pop-up questions within the quiz to ask the students.
Yeah, that's great, thank you. Okay, what options do I have to create questions and answers?
There are three main questioning methods within Socrative. Multiple choice, true or false, or a written answer of some form or description. But there are different ways you can use it. You don't just have to use it as a quiz. You can do games with it, you can do on-the-fly questions where you make up a question on the spot and the students can then answer that question with like a voting system, an A, B, C, D, as to the different options that you give them.
How do I facilitate the session? How do I control it, make sure it works?
There's a couple of different ways you can do it. Again, it leaves the control to you. You can have teacher-based sessions, you can have student-based sessions. So you can have the student in complete control of which question they answer, when they answer it and when they finish it. You could use it as a research tool for them. So you've got 30 minutes now, there's 10 questions. If you don't know the answer to the question, I want you to actually do some research on that so that you can answer the question correctly. Or it can be, like I said before, summatively at the end of the session to see how much they've actually retained from what you've done.
Okay. Here's the burning question. How can Socrative support differentiation in our classes?
It is individual. Okay? Every individual's results are recorded and fed back to you. You don't have to give that information to the students. You can go through it with them if they're all happy with that and show them who's got what answers correct or not. You can also hide student names so that it's anonymised, so that you can see the results, you can show the results, but it doesn't actually identify anybody as that person got it wrong for anybody to pick on them. But it leaves you able to see who's answered what questions and who's having difficulty with which subjects, because you can keep the results and review the results. So if somebody's having a specific problem with one part of your subject, you can see that they're going to continuously get answers within that area wrong. Yeah,
sure. Okay, how does Socrative support motivation? How does it motivate and challenge learners?
They enjoy it. It's a quiz. You can do it as a group activity, you can do it as an individual activity, and I have found that the students look forward to having a quiz and testing themselves and seeing whether they can get the answer right, whether they can beat their friends and get the best score, whether they can complete it fastest at 100%. You can reward them if you want. You can set a task. If anybody gets 100% on this quiz, then they get a box of sweets. It's how you use it that makes it fun.
Yeah. One last question then. So, can Socrative be used to support research?
Yes, it can. Like I said before, if you don't want it to be just purely summative, you can use it as a research tool. So you set several questions in there that maybe you haven't covered in the sessions, and as they encounter those questions, they have to find the answer to that question and answer it within the Socrative quiz, which then gives a record of that to you.
Phil, thank you very, very much for sharing your good practice with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well done.